This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Comic Book Saturday. Today we are going to be talking about the first family of comics, as far as I'm concerned, and that's the Fantastic Four. A unique family with its problems and yet its togetherness, and we are going to look at the first volume of the entire series, but we're going to do it 5 issues at a time. Maybe we'll bring it up to 10 issues at a time to really get into the heart of things. These first 5 issues really kind of stand out a bit. First of all, they're kind of slow moving, the first 3, I think, and it isn't until the 4th and 5th that you really start to get the feel for where this is going to go, as we introduce the Submariner and Doctor Doom, which is probably one of the all-time villains of all time, which we will do a program just on Doctor Doom because he's just that fascinating of a character, how he was handled well, and some of the times where he just wasn't handled well at all. So today we're going to take a look at the first 5 issues, and then I'll come back, I'll close it out, and then we'll tell you what's next. So without further ado, let's go down to and check out the first 5 issues. Of course, we're going to start with issue 1 of the Fantastic Four, their origin story, and one of the weakest, I always felt, villains of all, which is the Mole Man. This is their origin story, very unique. Mr. Fantastic, big brain, big imagination, stretches out, of course, with a stretching power like his mind. Ben Grimm, incredible strength. Sue Storm, who feels invisible in a way, and thus she becomes invisible, and the hothead Johnny Storm. Their origin is told, of course. They go up and are exposed to cosmic rays and develop their powers and become the Fantastic Four to fight for good. And the Mole Man, well, what can I say? Not the greatest villain to start off with, but does set the tone of how this family is going to work. Issue 2 is the first appearance of the Skrulls, and a very unique story. It sets up for some other stories later in the future on how they're defeated and then turned into, they decide to become cows, and because they don't want to be Skrulls. They kind of set up the Fantastic Four, but as a villain, the Skrulls are a fantastic villain and really shine throughout Marvel's history. And I mean, who could forget the Skrull? Kree War and all, of course, Secret Invasion. It all starts here with issue 2 and their first appearance, and who they are and how they shapeshift and do all kinds of different things to try to undermine our heroes. Issue number 3 with the Miracle Man. Not a great villain, but what really stands out here is that they get their costumes and how Ben Grimm had a full costume with a helmet, but eventually tears it off. We see the fantastic car, their costume, and of course the Baxter Building for the very first time. A very good, solid issue as they start to gel and become more of a team, and you get to see more of a superhero side instead of a family which is constantly bickering and yet coming together in times of adversity. Like I said, the Thing here, he originally had this full suit. He just did not like it, and this is where he gets his just iconic shorts. He just basically rips it off and just says, I'm not gonna, he can't move in that, and that the only way that he was going to be able to move and be able to fight was pretty much in his shorts, which is just iconic. But originally he had a full suit. Issue number 4 was an absolute classic. Johnny's been bailing out the Fantastic Four for quite some time and really getting their fat out of the fire. He decides to have an argument with them and flies off and heads down to the Bowery, where he finds this guy amongst the bums that has this incredible strength and just wants to be left alone. Well, the Torch, of course, decides to clean him up and uses his flame to shave off the beard and clean up, and discovers that it is the Submariner, the hero from the 40s and the Invaders, in which he was with Captain America and the original Human Torch. Puts him into the water, and he gains his memory back, and then decides to attack humanity once he finds out that radiation had destroyed most of Atlantis. This does not go over well with the Submariner. Then we come into issue number 5. This is where Doctor Doom just stands out. His original meeting. His origin doesn't come until Giant Size, which we'll talk about another time. But this is really a unique type of issue because it comes into this incredible Doctor Doom. You're wondering who he is, and then all of a sudden, once his voice is billowed and Mr. Fantastic hears of him, he is reminded that they were college roommates, and of course how Doctor Doom pretty much blames Mr. Fantastic for his scarred face. Something that we always wondered, was it scarred or is it not scarred? Or is his vanity so high that he only had like a small scratch of a scar, and that he couldn't handle it, so he put the mask on. Once his face, in his mind, was hideously deformed, or was it deformed? As you can see, he finds out that the Fantastic Four, and adds into this thing that he wants to exact revenge, and he, using his super science and everything, captures them and asks the Fantastic Four to go back into the past and get him Blackbeard's treasure. Now, the really neat thing about this is how time comes into play. Dr. Doom's time machine, where he sends them back, and this is where they meet with Blackbeard, who happened to be the Thing. So time, as you can see, goes into a loop that the Thing was always Blackbeard. So as you can see in this shot here, he's actually Blackbeard. He doesn't want to go back, but a storm comes and takes out the ship, and well, they grab the treasure, which they do empty out and put nothing but chains in, and so Dr. Doom cannot get a hold of it, and the Thing just wanted to stay behind because the men loved him and stuff like that. But eventually they are brought, and they take Thing back with them, and the time machine brings them back to the present, in which Dr. Doom, of course, has a plan and decides to suck all the air out. But this is where we start to see the strength of the Invisible Girl, and that she's not totally weak, and she happens to save the day and is able to save the Fantastic Four, and basically get everybody together so they can face Doom and basically fight Doom and drive Doom off. This is a great beginning story for Doctor Doom, and I think this is where this issue, these out of these 5 issues, this issue really kind of starts to hit the stride, because through the first 5 issues, you're really seeing the strength of them, and as we're going to see in the next 6 issues, how Doctor Doom comes back and really gives our heroes nothing but havoc. Now, these first 5 issues have been collected in many different things. There's omnibuses that'll take you to the first 30 issues. There are little books there that'll give you the first 10 issues. Some will give you the first 5. The thing, again, I don't want to ruin the stories. If you have not read these are must reads. The first issue, again, I never thought of much of the Mole Man as a villain over time, but he is iconic because he is the first villain. The second issue with the Skrulls, I think the Skrulls kind of just branched off and become their own thing, and not so much a villain of the Fantastic Four as much as they have they have some iconic and classic moments, and we'll talk about that when we hit the Byrne run. But here, this story has been taken from so many times, and we'll talk about that in other issues and things like that, and how they really have played out over time. The third issue, we kind of start to see how they become a superhero team, their headquarters, the very first Fantastic car, and how they deal with things, the bickering, the back and forth between Johnny and the Thing, and then that leads right into the Submariner, where here we have our first really big villain who is just really upset. Is he villain? Is he hero? A lot of these questions come up, and we wonder and we take from there. This is just another just fantastic issue, and this is where kind of the Submariner and Sue have this chemistry, where we run into this kind of, again, I want you to read this, we kind of run into this little love triangle in a way that kind of plays out over time. And then, of course, the most iconic Fantastic Four villain of them all, Doctor Doom. My man. Doom. You see the early touches of Doom, and how Kirby and Lee want to portray him with a strange sense of honor, yet this utter vengeance. They always bring out the human part of their villains, and where you can feel some kind of sympathy for them. And what makes a villain, what makes somebody go to that side, what makes somebody teeter onto the wrong side of law, of course. And it's done to perfection, and where, as we'll see in the future, how we really learn more about Doom as we go, and I think we end up loving him even more. So there you go, the first 5 issues of the Fantastic Four. We've got more things planned out for you folks. Next week, it's Sci-Fi Saturday, another movie that we're going to be doing, and then we'll be back with our comic books a week after that. If you like this and want to see this weekly, please leave it in the comments. We've got so much to cover, and I'm really enjoying doing this. I hope you are too, and we're going to give this a go and hopefully see how it does. So until next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you soon.